Welcome to the Ask Coach Mac podcast, where coaches from around the world get their strength and conditioning questions answered.
What's up, guys? Ron McKeefery here, and welcome to episode number 38 of Ask Coach Mac. Thank you so much for joining me today. We have a great question from Justin, but before we get to that, I want to thank today's sponsor, Iron Grip. If you're in the market for plates or dumbbells, these are my go-to guys. I put Iron Grip plates and dumbbells in 3 facilities, including my own garage, where my family and I work out. I've had nothing but positive experiences with them and love the fact that they're manufactured in the U.S. For more information, go to irongrip.com or follow them on Twitter or call Chris DeSanto at 509-230-3124. All right, here's today's question from Justin.
How's it going, guys? I'm Justin Hong, grad assistant strength coach at Clemson University. My question is, how to establish a culture for a team that you're entering where perhaps up top, coaching staff, that culture is not established already?
Justin, great question, and it's always difficult when you get into a situation where maybe you don't agree with the direction of the organization, or you feel like you're fighting with that direction as a strength and conditioning coach. And so a couple things. First and foremost, you have to realize that you work for the administration or for the head coach. And so ultimately you've made a decision to work there. And just like you can make a decision to not work there. And so obviously on the front end, you should do your homework and decide whether or not, with these organizations that you're going into, if you think it's going to be a good fit. Talk to people that have been there, talk to the strength coach that had been there right before you and find out why they left. Don't just blindly accept jobs. And I think sometimes, with the grass is greener mentality, that's what people do. They just accept jobs. They think it's a better situation than the one they're in currently, or, they just assume because it's maybe a bigger school or better, a higher level or whatever, that it's a better job. And sometimes it's not, for a variety of reasons. And so you have to first take ownership of yourself, of whether or not it's something that, was your fault for taking the job in the first place. And then you have to accept the situation for what it is. With Jim Levitt at South Florida, who I love and I feel like challenged me to be the best version of myself as a coach, but really challenged me in a lot of ways. I probably got to a point where I did about 80% of what I wanted to do. And then I just accepted the 20% that I could not change. There was things about the way that he wanted to lead the team, things about the direction of the program that I didn't always agree with. But he's the head football coach. And then there was plenty of times where I was wrong and he was right. And because he'd had tons of experience and built programs and all that, by going with the direction that he wanted to go things, I would find out that I was in the wrong. And then accept that and learn and grow from it. The other thing is you got to find opportunities to jump on things that the administration says, or the head coach points out. Oftentimes there might be something take like discipline, for example, and they'll talk about the importance of discipline, and maybe they'll put a quote out there or put in their mission or their core values, some things about discipline, and oftentimes those things get overlooked when the rubber meets the road and the discipline opportunity. But if you bring up those things and you're cognizant of when they're said, document it, be able to point that out, do it in a non-threatening way. But if you're in a situation and they're going around the room and they're talking about discipline of an athlete, and when they get to you, you're like, well, in our core values, Coach, what you laid out for us at the beginning of the year when we were going through our coaching manual, you had said that the discipline was one of the most important things that we can do. Then it's not you necessarily being, the one pointing things out, but what you're doing is you're supporting what you and ultimately they have said as the direction for the program. And so, I think that that's a very important part of it. When you hear things in passing, take the things that you're going to, that are going to be in line with what you're trying to do within the strength and conditioning program, and build that off that, and then be able to point back to it, I think is a very important thing. Lastly, you just got to know what you're not unwilling to compromise on. Just like I said, you don't accept jobs where you know that you're going to have a clash. You also need to be able to say, you know what, this is where I'm going to walk away. And ultimately that's what I did at South Florida when, new head coach came in. it wasn't a situation where I felt like I could be the coach that I wanted to be. And so I left and took the job with Special Forces. And, I knew that. I knew that about the situation. I also was not, as I've talked about, not handling the coaching transition with the new head coach right. It wasn't necessarily, only, the new head coach that came in, but it was just the fact that I was unwilling to compromise on some things, that the way that we did things, that I felt like had success, and in a direction I wanted to run our program. And so ultimately I needed to make a decision on what I was unwilling to compromise on, and leave the program. And so I think, you gotta realize you work for the head coach. You gotta understand, there's gonna be some things that you can change and things you can't. You gotta find opportunities to jump on things that the administration or the head coach supports. And then ultimately you got to decide whether or not you want to be a part of the program or not. So, Justin, I hope that answers your question. We'd love to hear what everyone else thinks. Use the hashtag AskCoachMac38 to continue the discussion over on Twitter. Justin, thanks for your question. I want to encourage everyone else that if you have a question that you would like to potentially be featured on the show, head over to AskCoachMac.com. There you can ask your question by hitting the record button at the bottom of the page. Thanks so much. I appreciate you guys for listening. And here's a quote to finish the day by Francis Hasselben. Culture does not change because we desire it to change. Culture changes when the organization is transformed. The culture reflects the realities of people working together every day. Take care, guys. I'll see you in the next episode of Ask Coach Mac. Bye for now.